Loonatics Unleashed is an American superhero animated series from Warner Bros. That aired on Kids WB from 2005 to 2007. Inspired by the classic Looney Tunes, it takes the inconic characters into a darker, post-apocalyptic future where their descendants fight crime with a modern action twist. At first, fans weren't sure about the new designs and tone, but over time, many have grown to appreciate its unique style. It's funny, action-packed, and it's one of the most underrated cartoons of its time. So, without further ado, let's begin. On the hottest day of the year, a massive iceberg drifts inland toward Acmetropolis, pushed by an unknown supernatural force. As it advances, the iceberg begins freezing the city and trapping its citizens in ice. Inside their tower, the Loonatics are unaware of the crisis. Tech and Rev order pizza, Ace meditates, Duck brainstorms new names for himself, and Lexi listens to music. Their routine is interrupted when Slam returns covered in ice. Zadavia appears and explains that the iceberg may be tied to the strange events that followed the fall of the 2772 meteor. She urges the team to investigate before the city is completely frozen. The Loonatics first attempt to melt the iceberg using Tech's Retrofire Master Blasters, but the ice repels the heat. They then turn to Slam, whose Tornado Maximizer chips away at the glacier through sheer friction. The temperature stabilizes and the team thinks the threat is over, until Lexi hears something stirring within the ice. The iceberg collapses, revealing a massive Viking ship encased inside. From it emerges an army of robotic techno-Vikings led by their commander, Gunner. Ace duels Gunner, but the team is soon overpowered and trapped in ice, leaving Acmetropolis vulnerable to invasion. Duck manages to quack himself out of the ice, and Slam quickly frees the rest of the team. Though the techno-Vikings disappear into the city, Zadavia contacts the Loonatics again. She explains that the iceberg likely slipped through an interdimensional portal created during the meteor's impact, trapping the Vikings during a storm in their own realm. Before she can reveal more, the Vikings destroy the communications hub with an ice bomb. The Loonatics prepare to pursue, but their jetpacks are frozen and useless. Tech unveils the Zoomatrixes and the team launches after the Viking ship. A battle follows, with the Loonatics draining the ship's ice weapons before engaging in an aerial clash using their own craft. A volley of gravity discs cripples the Viking vessel, sending it down. However, the Vikings themselves are missing. Rev tracks them heading toward the planet's power core. Ace realizes the battle was a diversion so Gunner could freeze the core and plunge the world into a new ice age. At the core, the team fights the remaining Vikings, while Tech reprograms their freezing tech. Ace knocks Gunner into the recharged core, which disables the Vikings and revives power. Back at HQ, Zadavia thanks the team, except Duck, who reluctantly accepts keeping his name. Acmetropolis falls under Fuzz Mania, when Professor Zane introduces the city to the Fuzz Z, tiny, adorable creatures he claims to have discovered after the meteor strike. The public is instantly charmed, and soon everyone owns one, including Lexi, who can't resist getting her own pet. The calm doesn't last, however. Zadavia summons the Loonatics after a massive spider monster attacks a family in the city. The team races to the scene and engages the creature, but it vanishes beneath a bridge. While searching, Danger Duck stumbles upon a small Fuzz Z. Enchanted, he names it Wonderfluff and keeps it in his backpack, where it quickly bonds with Lexi's pet as well. The situation escalates when Duck jokingly claims he has chocolate in his pack. To his shock, the bag bursts open, revealing the two Fuzz Z's transformed into towering spider-like monsters. A chaotic fight breaks out, but after a short time the mutation reverses, shrinking them back into their harmless forms. Zadavia then contacts the team and explains the truth. The Fuzz Z's are unstable and dangerous. The Loonatics must act quickly. Ace, Slam, Tech, and Rev are tasked with rounding up the creatures across the city, while Lexi and Duck are assigned to track down Professor Zane and uncover the source of the crisis. Lexi and Danger Duck find Professor Zane and are captured. Professor Zane explains that he discovered a Fuzz Z will mutate into a dangerous spider creature upon consuming chocolate. Ace gets concerned when neither Lexi or Danger Duck answer their comm links, so the gang goes to check out why. After an intense fight, the Loonatics activate a machine that returns each Fu-Z to their non-hostile form. Finally, the Loonatics return the creatures to the center of the Earth where they came from, and Zadavia says that the Loonatics can have the day off as the episode ends. Black Velvet seizes control of Acmetropolis's main computer and begins transmitting a powerful signal from the city's power station, supported by her giant ship and an army of shadow robots. At the tower, Tech attempts meditation on Ace's advice, hoping to clear his mind. However, his efforts are constantly interrupted by Danger Duck's blaring ringtone as the duck places an order for a flashy cape and boots. Frustrated, Tech challenges him to a wager. If Danger can last an entire week without using technology, Tech will pay for his new outfit. If he fails, Tech keeps the cape and boots for himself. Before the bet can play out, Zadavia alerts the Loonatics to Black Velvet's activity. The team immediately prepares to confront her. Ace suggests they begin their search at the last site she targeted. Just then, their ship suddenly blacks out, and when the lights return, Tech has mysteriously vanished. Tech awakens strapped to a table aboard Black Velvet's ship. She explains her motives. Blinded by the light of the meteor strike, she now seeks to plunge the world into permanent darkness so others will share her fate. Knowing Tech helped construct Acmetropolis's main computer, she chooses him to complete her plan, brainwashing him to operate the system and expand her signal. The Loonatics pursue Black Velvet's ship to rescue Tech, but she unleashes her shadow drones to intercept them. To break through, the team launches missiles, though the drones retreat into the ship, risking Tech's safety. With no choice, the Loonatics scramble to disarm the missiles. Rev speeds off to destroy one in midair, Lexi uses her brain blast to neutralize another, and Danger teleports onto one, planting explosive orbs. At the last moment, however, he decides to disarm it instead, forcing Ace to swoop in and rescue him from disaster. Once aboard the ship, the team splits up. Lexi, Rev, and Slam hold off the drones swarming the transmitting signal, while Ace and Danger focus on reaching Tech. Still under Velvet's control, Tech resists until Danger's loud, obnoxious ringtone, the same one that ruined his meditation earlier, jolts him free of the brainwashing. Regaining his senses, Tech helps destabilize the system, triggering a massive energy surge. The supernova consumes Black Velvet and her entire shadow army, while the Loonatics narrowly escape with Tech, the main computer, and the transmitter intact. At City Hall Plaza, the Acme News team covers a storm when Paula Hayes, assistant to star weather girl Misty Breeze, tries to push her ideas into the broadcast. Misty dismisses her, unaware that Paula secretly controls the weather. Frustrated, Paula unleashes a rain cloud on Misty, then seizes the chance to go on air herself. To make the segment memorable, she intensifies the storm, but lightning strikes her, transforming her into a powerful villain. When Misty returns, she worries more about her image than Paula's safety, prompting the newly corrupted Paula to blast her into the sky. Meanwhile, Ace, Tech, and Slam repair a parabolic antenna, joined by the rest of the team just in time to catch Misty as she falls back to Earth. Though Duck shows affection, she brushes him off. Informed of unnatural weather worldwide, the Loonatics fly to City Hall. There they find Paula's traumatized crew and face her cloud creatures and fog. The fight seems hopeless until the team discovers water weakens the creatures. Lexi bursts a hydrant, Rev uses kicks to splash water, Ace cuts open a fountain, and Duck accidentally destroys one with an orange juice explosion. At City Hall Plaza, Paula Hayes, assistant to star weather girl Misty Breeze, reveals her secret ability to control weather. After being dismissed by Misty, Paula sabotages her with a rain cloud, then takes over the broadcast. To make it memorable, she amplifies the storm, but lightning strikes her, transforming her into the villain Weather Vane. When Misty returns, Paula's jealousy explodes, and she blasts her into the sky. Meanwhile, the Loonatics repair a parabolic antenna and catch Misty as she falls back to Earth. Informed of global weather anomalies, they rush to City Hall and face Weathervane's storm creatures. At first, the fight seems hopeless, but the team discovers water disperses the clouds, defeating them. However, Weathervane escalates, unleashing lightning, a tornado, and chaos across Acmetropolis. Slam neutralizes the cyclone, but the villain floods the city and derails a train before escaping into the clouds. Pursued by Danger Duck, Weathervane conjures a storm dragon, forcing the Loonatics to regroup. Tech proposes luring her to a volcanic island where extreme heat could end her powers. Using Danger as bait and Slam with a lava depth charge, the team triggers a volcanic blast that evaporates the storm dragon. The Loonatics escape, though Tech mourns the loss of his Portalab. Later, back at the Acme News weather van, Zadavia contacts the Loonatics on the van's communication screen to congratulate them on destroying the Storm Dragon, even though they had not found Weathervane afterwards, assuming she escaped. Lexi and Duck head out to buy lunch for the team when Lexi pauses to enjoy a parade in Chinatown. Duck grumbles, pointing out he doesn't want to linger in a place that serves rabbit and duck. As Chinese dragons parade through the streets, Lexi's super hearing picks up something suspicious, prompting her to ask Duck to check it out with her. He refuses, insisting she isn't the boss of him. Before they can argue further, a massive earthquake shakes Chinatown. Duck is splattered with duck sauce, leading Lexi to quip, "Aren't you saucy?" As the tremors continue, the city reshapes dramatically. Chinatown is lifted onto a mountain, and its buildings are pulled into a green, glowing light. At the same time, a museum across Acmetropolis is broken into by a mysterious figure who declares that this is only the beginning. Back at HQ, the Loonatics discuss the strange volcano-like mountain. Tech unveils a rushed model of Chinatown complete with tiny trains. To his surprise, the model erupts just like the real one. He explains that what happened defies all laws of physics. Duck blames the meteor, while Slam snacks on the model until Tech admits it's made of fudge, prompting Lexi to join him. Zadavia then reveals the culprit, Dr. Thaddeus Dare, a brilliant scientist disgraced for his reckless rock experiments, now empowered by the stolen Jade Serpent Crystal. Tech proudly shows the team his drilling machine, the Mobile Magma Mover, saying it can break through any rock. At first it works well, but soon it stalls against stone that refuses to crack. While Tech wonders what went wrong, Dr. Dare's giant rock golems suddenly appear and surround the vehicle. The sudden stop shorts the machine, and before Tech can fix it, one golem smashes the glass and grabs Lexi. Ace quickly rallies the team. Lexi struggles, but Duck blasts the golem and knocks her free. The fight begins as the Loonatics battle the creatures. Slam wrestles with one, while Ace, in frustration, accidentally blasts another into a ravine, only for it to land on Slam. Ace apologizes as Slam groans. Ace urges Tech to restart the drill, but the rerouter cord is too short. With no other option, Tech grabs the cord and sticks his finger in the socket, electrocuting himself. He disintegrates but reforms using his molecular regeneration ability, grumbling in frustration. With power restored, the machine smashes through the golems with ease. Dr. Dare then appears, declaring his plan to flip Acmetropolis upside down, burying the city while he rules above. He fires a green ray, collapsing the cave, and escapes on a giant rock platform. After a brief struggle underground, Slam uses his tornado power to break everyone free. Zadavia then contacts the Loonatics and shows them the shocking state of Acmetropolis. The city has been flipped inside out, leaving only rock on the surface while its citizens are stranded outside. Rising above it all is Dr. Dare's massive fortress. The team uses dune buggies built by Tech to travel across the rough terrain and reach the fortress. After battling through heavy defenses at the entrance, they finally make it inside. In the throne room, Dr. Dare sits proudly on a rocky throne beside the glowing Jade Serpent Crystal. Seeing that the Loonatics survived, he attempts to end the fight by turning them into stone. The crystal's power begins to crawl up their bodies, but Ace cleverly bounces his eye lasers off angled rocks, striking the crystal and freeing the team. Realizing he's losing, Dr. Dare flees, but Lexi knocks him down a staircase where Ace confronts him. Dr. Dare fires a stone blast from his staff, but Ace deflects it with his sword, turning the villain into stone instead. Tech then uses the crystal to restore Acmetropolis. Back at HQ, the heroes celebrate with a year's supply of Chinese food, while Zadavia congratulates them. Acmetropolis celebrates the Loonatics on the one-year anniversary of the meteor strike when the skies suddenly fill with falling rock. The heroes quickly spring into action, protecting citizens as debris rains down on the city. Once the danger passes, Tech analyzes the rubble and makes a grim discovery. Another meteor is approaching Acmetropolis, and this one is 500 times larger than the meteor that gave the Loonatics their powers. Duck nervously jokes that he doesn't want to live in a world where everyone has powers, but Lexi reminds him that this meteor won't create heroes. It will wipe everyone out. Zadavia confirms their fears and stresses that they must stop it before impact. As the team prepares for the intercept mission, each of their past lives is revealed. Ace once worked as a martial arts stunt double, longing to prove he was capable of more but kept under strict control by his director. Lexi was a student at Acme University, showing outstanding skill in gymnastics while trying out for the cheerleading squad, but the jealous head cheerleader tried to block her chances. Duck was a pool boy, angry at the fact most of his day consisted of getting dirty diapers out of the pool. Slam was a professional wrestler, disappointed by the fact that the matches were staged. Tech was a student at the Acme Tech Institute, although his need for perfection often caused his inventions to backfire. Rev was a pizza delivery boy who was always late, despite his invention of rocket roller skates. In space, the Loonatics suit up to take out the meteor. When they fail to destroy the meteor, they land on it to plant charges and destroy it from the inside. Though the Loonatics are eventually successful in destroying the meteor, an unknown figure declares that he will destroy Acmetropolis. A famous intergalactic circus arrives in Acmetropolis, drawing crowds with its bizarre and exotic creatures. What the citizens don't know is that the circus hides a dark secret. The creatures are actually hybrids, created by mixing human DNA with animal DNA. The mysterious ringmaster is behind these experiments and proudly displays the results as his attractions. Trouble begins when a child goes missing, and the investigation leads straight to the circus. The Loonatics follow a monkey-cheetah hybrid, who is revealed to be Zadavia after being captured and altered off-screen, and soon uncover the truth. Once inside, the team learns that they themselves are on the ringmaster's list of future hybrids. Using his powers, the ringmaster forcibly transforms the Loonatics into strange animal combinations, leaving them struggling to fight in their new forms. Working together, they manage to reverse the changes and return to normal, but a bigger twist is revealed. Otto, the ringmaster's loyal assistant, was the true mastermind. Otto mutates the ringmaster into a towering hybrid monster and unleashes him on the heroes. The Loonatics counter with a sonic boom that weakens the creature, and Tech finishes the job by trapping both Otto and the ringmaster inside his Glucogel 9000 invention. Drake Cypher has the power to absorb abilities from anyone he touches, and he decides he should be the only one celebrated as a hero. To show off, he first steals the skills of a star basherball player and scores the winning shot. Soon after, he takes Ace and Rev's powers while they attend the game, leaving them powerless. When a dam threatens to burst, Zadavia puts Lexi in charge and sends the Loonatics to stop the disaster. But Cypher arrives, fights them, and steals both Lexi and Slam's abilities as well. With most of the team drained, Duck is reluctantly made the leader. Later, during a parade, Cypher appears again and takes Tech and Duck's powers, leaving the group completely helpless. Refusing to quit, Tech designs special suits that allow the team to keep fighting. When they battle Cypher again, they notice he avoids touching them, which gives away his weakness. The Loonatics realize they can regain their powers by making contact with him. After reclaiming their abilities, they finally defeat Cypher and send him to prison. A breaking news broadcast announces that the Trollbot 9000, a massive military robot created at the Acmetropolis Weapons Laboratory, has been stolen. The Loonatics rush to stop it, but the machine proves almost unstoppable. They manage to destroy one of its propeller fans, hoping Tech can disable it with the Metallo converter. However, their efforts fail, and even Tech is reduced to ashes after Rev accidentally reverses the device with the turbo reverse modulator. The Trollbot tears through their headquarters, and Ace nearly meets his end, only to suddenly wake up in bed, realizing it was just a dream. But when Zadavia alerts the team that someone has indeed broken into the weapons laboratory to steal the Trollbot 9000, the dream suddenly feels like a warning. As the team prepares, Duck receives a strange call from Dr. Fidel Chroniker, who warns that his grandson is out of control. Duck brushes him off, only for the real culprit, Arthur Chroniker, also known as Time Skip, to be revealed. At the destroyed lab, Colonel Trench briefs the heroes on the danger. But before they can react, Time Skip freezes the team with his powers and seizes control of the Trollbot 9000 himself. The strange events repeat, with Ace sensing deja vu as the Loonatics once again face Time Skip and the Trollbot 9000. This time, Tech realizes that Time Skip is bending time itself, staying one step ahead of them. Knowing they can't solve this alone, the team contacts Dr. Fidel Chroniker. Ace, Tech, and Duck visit Fidel, who reveals he has been resetting the day for the past 5 attempts, trying to warn them. He explains that his grandson, Arthur Chroniker, now calling himself Time Skip, irradiated himself and gained the ability to leap through moments in time, giving him an unbeatable advantage. Fidel shows how Arthur has outmaneuvered them every loop and suggests setting a time trap. The day resets again, but this time Ace receives a letter from his future self along with blueprints for Fidel's time displacer. With flashes of memory from failed timelines guiding them, the Loonatics quickly prepare. When Time Skip sneaks into the lab to claim the Trollbot, Lexi, Slam, and Duck are already waiting inside it. Time Skip tries to escape using another ship, but Ace, Tech, and Rev spring the trap, vaporizing the ship and capturing him. Fidel promises to remove his grandson's powers before handing him over to the authorities. At the Acmetropolis subterranean prison, the warden introduces a new officer to the city's most dangerous inmate, Mallory Mastermind. He warns that anything metal is a threat in her hands, since she can transform it into high-tech weapons. Although the officer notices his pen missing, he brushes it off. However, Mastermind has already stolen it, turning it into a tiny robot. Enduring pain to push it through her force field, she sets the robot free. It soon hijacks a construction machine, breaks her containment, and lifts her out of prison. Meanwhile at HQ, Duck trains against holographic ninjas. Declaring victory, he calls it a game, prompting Tech to remind him it's a state-of-the-art simulator. After Tech raises the difficulty, Duck emerges scorched. Ace interrupts, saying Zadavia is calling with urgent news. She briefs them on the breakout while Tech fills in Mastermind's backstory during the flight. Once his grad student Mallory built a device to absorb knowledge rather than amplify brainwaves. Tech exposed her plan, but the machine backfired, deforming her mind. She was arrested soon after. At the prison yard, the team finds suspicious activity. Mastermind ambushes them with robots, but while the Loonatics fight, she seizes their HQ, launching saucers to destroy their jet and planting devices on their weapons. After their jet is destroyed, the Loonatics try sneaking into HQ through the hangar, only to find Mastermind has already changed the codes. Slam drills underground and pops up inside, letting the others in. They arm themselves, but the weapons have been booby-trapped, tying their hands to the guns and firing wildly. The team smashes free using their powers. Tech blames himself for the oversight, but Ace reassures him before leading the team into a hidden room that contains a secret elevator. Unfortunately, Mastermind has anticipated this too. She seals them inside the heat generator chamber and cranks the power to maximum. The Loonatics narrowly escape when the chamber explodes, climbing a rope into the air vents where Mastermind can't track them. Tech then suggests using an EMP device to disable all of Mastermind's stolen tech. The group splits up. Lexi, Slam, and Rev head to retrieve the EMP, while Ace, Duck, and Tech attempt to ambush Mastermind. Lexi's group discovers the EMP hidden in the rec room, but Mastermind has weaponized household appliances, vacuums, food processors, even a CD player, forcing them into battle. Meanwhile, Ace's group is trapped in the training room, where holographic ninjas multiply with every strike, turning their fight into a nightmare. Tech escapes from the training room while Ace and Duck cover him, chasing Mastermind into a storage closet. The two face off, arguing about their past. Mastermind insists Tech was jealous of her brain power, but Tech fires back that it was never her intelligence. It was the way she used it for selfish gain. She blasts at him with a laser, but Tech quickly assembles his own weapon out of spare parts and returns fire, forcing her on the defensive. Meanwhile, Lexi, Slam, and Rev continue their fight against the household robots. Lexi cleverly destroys the vacuum and food processor by kicking them into each other, while Slam smashes the CD player bot to pieces. They finally locate Tech's EMP, but the instructions are far too complicated for anyone except Tech. Rev, however, easily understands them, activating the device and shutting down all of Mastermind's machines across HQ. The team unites, declaring game over as Mastermind's entire arsenal collapses. Tech then restrains Mastermind with heavy power cables, and she is taken back to prison. Afterward, the Loonatics enjoy a relaxing day at the beach. Duck boasts about finally being right, only for the scene to glitch away, revealing it was just the training room. Rev powers the system with a generator bike, grumbling about his unlucky task. Massive, Mastermind, Cypher, and Weathervane are secured in transport tubes that cancel out their powers under Duck's watch. He boasts that there's no way they can escape, but suddenly a swirling ball of matter appears. It expands into a wormhole, pulling the four villains inside and teleporting them into space, where they meet Optimatus. He promises them control of Acmetropolis if they help destroy the Loonatics. The villains eagerly agree, and Optimatus gives them a device to plant inside Loonatics HQ. Back at headquarters, Duck blames himself for letting the villains get away, but Ace reassures him not to be too hard on himself. Zadavia appears as a hologram and warns the team to find the villains before things get worse. Once the call ends, Zadavia privately fears her old enemy Optimatus is behind the escape. Ace sends Duck and Rev out on patrol, mostly to get them out of the way, which Lexi quickly notices. Meanwhile, Tech runs a scan and locates Cypher at the city zoo. The team heads out, only to discover that Cypher has stolen the animal's natural abilities. With Massive, Mastermind, and Weathervane at his side, the villains overpower the heroes. The Loonatics wake up powerless in Tech's underground prison, guarded by Cypher. At Loonatics Tower, Mastermind disguises herself as Duck to trick the security system. The facial recognition accepts her, and the villains gain access to headquarters. Once inside, they insert the device Optimatus gave them into the motherboard, causing the systems to malfunction. Zadavia finally manages to break through the interference and warns Duck and Rev, but the villains ambush them. Duck and Rev narrowly escape, and Zadavia urges them to find the others. Rev quickly realizes the team must be in Tech's underground prison and speeds there with Duck. To free the others, Duck distracts Cypher while Rev works on the password lock. Things take a turn when Duck accidentally teleports near Cypher, allowing him to steal Duck's powers. Tech suddenly remembers the correct password and calls it out. Even without his powers, Duck manages to input the code and release the rest of the Loonatics. The heroes and villains clash in a fierce battle. Lexi and Slam hold off Massive's brute strength, Rev dodges Weathervane's storms, and Ace duels Mastermind while Tech uses his gadgets. The fight ends with everyone fleeing the collapsing prison. Furious, Optimatus pulls the villains back with a wormhole. Duck follows, desperate to reclaim his powers. Zadavia then appears and reveals the shocking truth. Optimatus is her brother. Zadavia explains to the team that her brother, Optimatus, will stop at nothing to destroy Acmetropolis and herself. When Ace presses her for answers, she finally reveals her past. She comes from the planet Freylang, where she and Optimatus were born into the royal family. While Zadavia worked to guide their people, Optimatus had darker ambitions. As a young man, he revealed to the council his plan to conquer the universe. When they refused, his robotic army took them hostage, and he declared himself ruler. Fearing Zadavia might resist, he tried to capture her too, but she fought him and his robots before escaping the planet in a spaceship. During her escape, Optimatus was caught in the ship's blast, leaving him scarred. Zadavia thought she was safe on Acmetropolis, but Optimatus eventually found her. It was he who hurled the 2,772 meteor that gave the Loonatics their powers. She then directs the team to use her ship to confront him. Meanwhile, on his asteroid base, Optimatus scolds the villains and orders Duck taken away. As the Loonatics fly to the rescue, Tech notices a device like the one used against their computers. Zadavia explains her planet's tech can control all systems. Optimatus then sends ships to attack, but Zadavia steps in, using her powers to destroy them. Zadavia is suddenly zapped and dragged away by one of Optimatus's ships. Ace quickly tells the others they need to head out into space to rescue her. The team launches into action wearing red jet-equipped spacesuits. They manage to destroy several enemy ships, but sadly they are unable to save Zadavia. Things get worse when the Loonatics' ship is shot down with Ace and Rev still trapped inside. For a moment, everyone fears the worst. However, Ace and Rev soon return unharmed, and the team is filled with relief. Lexi even hugs Ace, while Rev explains how the two managed to survive the wreck. Meanwhile, Duck is held captive by Optimatus's robots. Using quick thinking, he tricks one into handing him a glass of water. Duck splashes it onto the robot as it touches the electrified bars, shorting them both out and freeing himself. Back at the base, Optimatus forces Zadavia to watch as he prepares to destroy Acmetropolis. His villain allies protest, but when they attack him, he easily overpowers them. Duck sneaks in, steals his powers back from Cypher, and distracts Optimatus by battling his robots. This buys enough time for the Loonatics to arrive. Together they work to stop Optimatus's plan to destroy Acmetropolis. The Loonatics keep the robots busy while Tech tinkers with the Doomsday Machine. As Zadavia wins the fight with Optimatus, the wormhole appears and begins to suck up the asteroid. The Loonatics and Zadavia escape in Optimatus's ship, but Optimatus is revealed to be on board and attacks them. Ace blasts the villain with his laser vision, knocking him out. Zadavia then opens a wormhole that sucks Optimatus into a cold, remote part of the universe. Back on Acmetropolis, everyone starts to realize the world isn't about to end after all, including the villains. They figure the Loonatics sacrificed themselves to stop Optimatus, and nobody's left who can stop them from taking over the world. The Loonatics then appear behind them, ready to stop them all before they start anything else. At Acmetropolis Park, Ace is enjoying some ice cream when a wormhole suddenly rips open behind him. Out of it shoots a flying train that zooms past the park. Wasting no time, Ace jumps onto his flying motorcycle and gives chase. On top of the train, he's met by Ophiuchus Sam, who tries to rob the train and fires at Ace. Ace blocks the shots with his sword, causing several blasts to ricochet back and strike Sam. Just as things heat up, another airbiker arrives, introducing himself as Deuce. He saves Ace by tossing an armored disc to block a laser blast. The two realize the train is heading into another wormhole. Deuce lets Ace hop on his bike, and Sam is scraped off as the train vanishes. Back in the park, Ace introduces Deuce to the rest of the Loonatics and thanks him for the save. Deuce notices Ace's sword and reaches for it, but Zadavia suddenly appears as a hologram. She is clearly displeased, already knowing Deuce, and refuses his offer to make peace. Later at HQ, Zadavia explains that the train is the Royal Intergalactic Quasar, carrying powerful cargo from Freylang's fall. She warns them not to trust Deuce, though Ace isn't convinced. As Slam and Duck search through the train cars, they are ambushed by Ophiuchus Sam. Deuce joins the fight to fend him off, but the train suddenly dives into another wormhole, leaving Slam and Duck trapped inside. While navigating the train, they begin to realize Deuce may not be the ally Ace believes him to be. Meanwhile, the train speeds through space and time, and Ace and Deuce follow Tech's homing gadget to a parking lot where it is predicted to reappear. Before it arrives, Sam ambushes them once again. During the fight, Deuce's shield is destroyed, and he urgently begs Ace to toss him his sword. Ace hesitates, but another close shot forces him to hand it over. The moment Deuce has the weapon, he reveals his true intentions, showing that he and Sam are working together. When Ace rushes to fight, Deuce demonstrates full knowledge of the sword's hidden powers, blasting Ace back and destroying the gadget in the process. The train then bursts out of the wormhole, striking Sam and allowing Slam and Duck to escape before it vanishes again. Back at HQ, Ace admits his mistake. Zadavia explains that Deuce was once her most powerful general on Freleng, but abandoned his people in pursuit of power. Zadavia learns what Deuce was really after once Duck explains that the train held nothing but piles of old robot parts. She reveals that the cargo was actually Deuce's robotic soldiers, hidden away since the fall of Freleng. Zadavia also shares the true history of Ace's Guardian Strike Sword, explaining that it once belonged to one of Freleng's greatest warriors. Ace, frustrated, asks why she never told him this before. Zadavia replies that great power used too soon can create as much harm as good, and assures him the sword's full potential will reveal itself when the time is right. Duck jokes, "I think I read that in a fortune cookie once." Lexi then asks how they can track the train again without Tech's destroyed gadget. Since Sam had been working with Deuce, the Lunatics reason he must know where the train will appear next. They try to let him escape so they can follow, but because of Sam's lack of wit, the Lunatics have to quietly guide his getaway. Outside, Sam unknowingly leads them straight to Deuce just as the train reappears. Deuce realizes their plan, uses the sword to hold them off, and climbs aboard the train. When Sam tries to follow, Deuce simply kicks him off, unwilling to share his prize. Chaos erupts in Acmetropolis when a genetically recreated mastodon, resembling a mammoth, storms through the streets. On their way to stop it, the Lunatics nearly collide with a pterodactyl, which Lexi manages to subdue and return to the zoo. There, she briefly crosses paths with Pierre Le Pew, assumed descendant of Pepe Le Pew, before alerting Ace that a saber-toothed cat has also escaped. Ace sends Slam to handle the mastodon while the rest of the team tries to wrangle the saber-tooth. Using his wrestling moves, Slam manages to restrain the beast, earning cheers from onlookers and catching the eye of Pierre Le Pew, who secretly plans to recruit Slam for his private fighting tournament. Back at the zoo, Tech deduces the animal escapes were no accident, and Lexi suspects Pierre. Ace dispatches Duck to assist Slam, but when Pierre tempts Slam with promises of fame, fortune, and a champion's belt, Duck jumps at the mention of money. He declares himself Slam's manager and signs the contract for him on the spot. Meanwhile, the others round up the remaining animals, only to discover Duck and Slam missing. When Lexi recognizes Pierre moments before the trio vanishes into thin air, Tech is tasked with tracking the teleportation trail, while Slam and Duck find themselves in Pierre's Max Arena, preparing for a brutal wrestling showdown. In Acmetropolis, a genetically recreated mastodon runs wild while the Lunatics nearly collide with a pterodactyl. Lexi captures the bird and returns it to the zoo, where she briefly meets Pierre Le Pew before learning a saber-toothed cat has escaped too. Ace assigns Slam to handle the mastodon, and Slam manages to restrain it with wrestling moves, earning cheers from the crowd. Impressed, Pierre offers Slam a spot in his private fighting tournament. Duck, tempted by money, quickly makes himself Slam's manager and signs the contract. Meanwhile, the others round up the animals but realize Slam and Duck are missing. Lexi recognizes Pierre just before he, Duck, and Slam vanish into thin air. At HQ, Tech explains that Pierre runs an illegal intergalactic fight federation, and the team sets out to rescue their friends. At the Max Arena, Slam defeats several opponents before facing the champion, Gorlop. However, every hit makes Gorlop grow larger. When the others join the fight, Pierre traps them all inside, declaring only one may survive. Rev discovers dodging shrinks Gorlop, and Slam uses the tactic until it is small again. By channeling attacks into the barrier, they break free, leading to Pierre's arrest. Lexi later gifts Slam the champion belt, while Duck schemes about his career. Ace follows Deuce onto the runaway train and is immediately ambushed. Knocked into crates, Ace quickly finds himself surrounded as Deuce uses the Guardian Strike Sword to awaken his army of robo-soldiers. Leaving the machines to finish him off, Deuce presses forward, confident Ace won't stand a chance. Ace holds his ground, cutting through the robots, then tries to get under Deuce's skin by mocking him for relying on a magic sword. Deuce doesn't bite and instead unleashes blast after blast. In the heat of the fight, Ace manages to blast the sword from Deuce's grip. As it floats mid-air, Deuce focuses on summoning it back, leaving himself open. Ace seizes the chance, landing a clean kick that sends Deuce reeling. The sword drifts into Ace's hand, and Zadavia's earlier words echo in his mind. Its power will come to you when you are ready. With one powerful strike, Ace slices through the train's coupling, sending Deuce and the engine plunging into the wormhole to parts unknown, while the rest of the train crashes harmlessly. Back at HQ, Zadavia commends Ace for mastering the sword. When he asks about its full power, she replies, "In time." Duck jokes that too little knowledge is dangerous, right before the sword zaps him, leaving everyone in laughter. All is calm at the Loonatics Tower until a sudden nighttime attack shakes the building. The team scrambles to the defense systems, Slam blasting lasers, Ace and Lexi countering missiles with their powers, while Duck snores through the chaos, only waking up to complain about the noise. The culprit is revealed to be Sylph Vester, a hired gun working for an unknown figure. Zadavia soon briefs the Loonatics. They must escort Tweetums, heir to the throne of Blanc, back to his homeworld to end a long civil war. Ace, Duck, and Slam will pilot a repaired enemy ship, while Lexi, Tech, and Rev guard headquarters. On the journey, Duck is stuck babysitting Tweetums, a job he finds beneath him. Tweetums delights in bossing him around, even tricking Duck into a game of hide-and-seek that ends with Duck fried by a button Tweetums pressed on purpose. Frustrated, Duck locks him in a cage for peace and quiet. Meanwhile, at HQ, Lexi spots missiles targeting the ship. Tech insists only he could have cracked their encrypted flight plan, proving someone's interfering. As the shields drop and missiles strike, Ace and Slam struggle to keep the ship intact. Amid the chaos, Tweetums escapes, and when Sylph Vester captures Duck, the tiny heir rushes off to rescue his unlikely friend. Now in Sylph Vester's clutches, Duck refuses to give up Tweetums, quipping that nothing the bounty hunter can do is worse than what the little bird already put him through. Surprisingly, Sylph Vester agrees, admitting he's also been tortured and burned by Tweetums before. Meanwhile, Ace realizes both Duck and Tweetums are missing. Back at the tower, Lexi reports the shields are restored while Tech and Rev bicker over who deserves the credit. Ace finds it suspicious their enemies track them so easily, and Rev suggests someone intercepted their transmissions. Ace orders Tech to dig deeper. On Sylph Vester's ship, Tweetums manages to free Duck. The mercenary tries to eat the tiny heir, blasting lasers as Duck and Tweetums scramble for cover. Spotting a big red button, Tweetums wonders aloud what it does. Sylph Vester panics, yelling at him not to press it. Duck teleports them to safety just in time. Arriving on Blanc, Ace confronts Queen Granicus, who reveals herself as the mastermind behind the attacks, working with a battered Sylph Vester. But her plan collapses when Ace exposes the truth using Tech's evidence. In the end, Duck is knighted by Tweetums, only to be stuck singing and giving him a bath. The Loonatics are called in when Sagittarius Stomper begins scaling a skyscraper. Tech deploys his latest invention, the atomic phase departiculator, designed to alter matter's form. But during the chaos, Duck accidentally bumps the machine, triggering it out of control. The blast frees Dr. Dare from his stone prison and knocks Stomper off balance, sending him crashing down. Though Tech's device was the real reason, the press hails Duck as the hero. Stomper vows revenge before being taken away, while his mother pleads with the Loonatics that her son is simply misunderstood. At a press conference, Duck basks in the glory, dismissing his teammates' role, especially Tech's. His confidence wavers when reporters remind him that Stomper always escapes prison and takes revenge on those responsible. Soon after, Duck receives threatening notes and narrowly avoids suspicious objects falling around him. Concerned, he and Ace check the prison only to find Stomper still locked up. Meanwhile, Dr. Dare resurfaces, stealing Perseus's shield to petrify Acmetropolis. The Loonatics fight back, and Tech's device turns Dare's platform to water, causing him to fall onto the shield and turn into stone again. Duck finally admits Tech deserves the credit, though both he and Tech are now marked as Stomper's targets. Still uneasy, Tech and Duck return with Ace to the prison to double-check on Stomper. They find him in his cell, but he's busy knitting a pattern that clearly depicts him killing both Duck and Tech. Alarmed, the two decide to take a vacation in the sewers, believing it's the one place Stomper won't find them. Unfortunately, the villain tracks them down. Tech tries to trap him, but his plan backfires, forcing him and Duck to run. When Stomper finally captures Tech, Duck realizes that if he truly wants to live up to his action hero claims, he has to prove it. He hurls a power orb at Stomper, freeing Tech. Tech then reminds Duck about his Aqua Dense ability and urges him to use it with the sewer water. Though the power only slows Stomper slightly, it holds him long enough for Ace to arrive and use Tech's invention to freeze him in ice. Lexi had heard Stomper's trademark whistling with her super hearing, which allowed her and Ace to track them down. Back at jail, the truth is revealed. The Stomper in custody was really a robot piloted by his mother. While Ace is praised for his deduction, Duck scrambles to steal credit, until Stomper's whistle sends him fleeing once again. At the Acmetropolis intergalactic prison ship, Massive breaks out of his cell, hijacks a ship, and heads straight for the Acmetropolis Museum to steal priceless art. The Loonatics quickly arrive on the scene with Ace, Duck, Tech, and Slam scouting from the roof. Ace jokes that he never knew Massive had a taste for art, and Duck quips that someone that big has a taste for anything. Before they know it, Massive sneaks up and uses his gravity powers to knock out Slam, Duck, and Tech, leaving Ace to face him alone. As Ace holds his ground, a new villain enters the story. Electro J. Fudd, armed with a high-tech hunting gun set to rabbits. He fires a tranquilizer that looks like a plunger, but Duck shoves Ace out of the way and gets hit instead. This distraction allows Massive to escape with the art. Fudd loses his shot and vows to get Ace later. Back at the prison, Ace and Duck investigate Massive's escape, finding his cell bars torn apart. While Duck foolishly touches them and gets zapped, Ace gets no clear answers. Later, Ace spots Massive robbing a Western-themed museum featuring the singing cowboy Hopalong Chiron and his robo-horse Thunder, unaware Fudd is still stalking him. At the Western Museum, Massive shows up riding Thunder, the stolen robo-horse, and fires gravity blasts like a gunslinger. Ace counters by pulling out the weapon that once neutralized Massive's powers, but before he can use it, Duck teleports in front of him. At that moment, Fudd fires Bolus meant for Ace, and they tangle around Duck instead. Massive then blasts the roof open and escapes, while Fudd brags that no prey ever gets away from him before flying off as well. Back at HQ, Ace asks Tech for leads. Tech explains he found a strand of hair stuck to Duck and identified it as belonging to Electro J. Fudd. Duck brushes it off, but Lexi points out that the Fudds have been legendary hunters for generations. She even shows a slideshow of Fudd ancestors, all of whom got distracted by harmless creatures while missing the real danger behind them. Before the team can laugh too much, news breaks that Massive is robbing a cookie factory. The Loonatics rush over, only to be pelted with flying cookies. Slam eats through the barrage while Ace and Rev try to press the attack. In the chaos, Duck knocks Fudd into cookie dough, and Tech discovers their massive is only a robot decoy. Back at HQ, the Loonatics piece things together and discover that the world's greatest artist, a singing space cowboy, and a cookie chef were all kidnapped around the same time. Lexi wonders aloud, what's the link between a great hunter like Fudd and a rampaging robot? Ace thinks it through and realizes the victims were all masters of their craft. That means Fudd is collecting the greatest of every profession. The robotic massive, then, was just a decoy, meant to distract the Loonatics while the real plan unfolded. Ace concludes the last piece of the puzzle is to capture the world's greatest crime fighter. Duck instantly declares that must be him, but Lexi quickly corrects him, saying it's Ace. On the streets, Ace comes up with a bold plan. He will use himself as bait to lure Fudd out so they can finally turn the tables. Lexi warns it's risky, but Ace insists it's necessary. While the team prepares, Duck sulks, upset that everyone sees Ace as the greatest. At that moment, Fudd appears and cleverly strokes Duck's ego, convincing him that he really is the best. Flattered, Duck allows himself to be taken straight to the Acmetropolis intergalactic prison. There, he discovers Otto has taken control, hoarding priceless treasures and keeping the world's greatest talents locked in stasis. Inside the prison, Otto finally reveals his master plan. He explains that he hired Fudd to capture the greatest hero of all time. Duck, flattered, jokes that while the honor is nice, he'd rather not spend eternity trapped in a stasis tube. Otto quickly corrects him, saying Duck does have a spot, but only as the greatest screw-up hero of all time. To make things worse, Otto adds that Fudd will join the collection too, as the greatest hunter. Realizing they'll both end up frozen, Duck and Fudd reluctantly work together to escape. During the chaos, Otto fires his freeze ray, hitting Fudd. Luckily, Fudd ditches his mech suit just in time to avoid capture. Ace then arrives and uses his laser vision to blast the weapon from Otto's hands. He confidently explains that he's pieced everything together. Otto is simply the greatest collector of all time. But Otto has one last trick, activating the freeze ray remotely and turning Ace into ice, only to discover he froze a robot double. The real Ace and the rest of the Loonatics break in through a hidden panel behind a painting. Tech traps Otto with a power net, but Otto reveals a double of his own. Before he can act, Duck hurls a power egg, knocking Otto into his own freeze ray. Otto's captives are freed, Fudd is arrested, and Duck, while bragging about saving the day, accidentally freezes himself. In Tech's lab, Rev sneaks around while Tech works on a new invention. Spotting the molecular modifier, Rev uses it to enlarge his birdseed sandwich, but Tech catches him and warns that his inventions aren't toys. After Tech leaves, Rev promises not to touch anything. However, once Tech is gone, Rev uses his beak to press commands on the keyboard. Believing he found a video game, he starts playing just as Lexi arrives. Excited, she joins in and uses her ballistic bunny blast to destroy an asteroid cluster on the screen. When Tech walks back in, he reveals it wasn't a game, it was his automated weapon system, and they just launched missiles into space. Rev tries to calm Lexi, saying the odds of hitting something important are slim. Unfortunately, one missile strikes Melvin the Martian's ship. Furious, Melvin vows to repay the attack by destroying Acmetropolis. The Loonatics see him on screen as he lists what he lost. To prove his power, Melvin destroys 3 stars. Duck mocks him, but Ace silences him. Instead of destroying the planet, Melvin threatens to shrink it for his collection unless Lexi is handed over in 24 hours. Ace refuses, while Duck encourages Lexi to accept. Tech warns that Martian technology is too advanced, and though the team prepares, the attack begins. As shields strain to hold, the exhausted Loonatics fall asleep. By morning, the Martian attack stops, and Duck boasts that Melvin backed down. But soon the team realizes Lexi is missing. They find a holographic note where she explains why she had to leave, says she'll miss them, and blows a kiss goodbye. Just as Ace wonders why, the message returns. Lexi thanks Duck for convincing her it's better to sacrifice one for many. Everyone turns on Duck, who insists he was taken out of context. Determined to bring her back, the Loonatics make a plan. Using a Trojan horse trick, the team sneaks aboard Melvin's ship while Lexi plays interstellar checkers with him using hoverboards and shrinking pieces. She notices her teammates escaping the horse and distracts Melvin with another match. Meanwhile, Tech discovers Melvin lied. The attack is back on. Ace realizes the checkerboard controls the shrinking on Acmetropolis, and Tech places shields in sync with each move. Ace and Duck confront Lexi, but she refuses to break her promise. "Old habits die hard," Duck mutters as they leave. Ace outsmarts Melvin, Bugs Bunny style, and blows him up. Back home, Lexi uses her ballistic bunny blast to destroy Melvin's missiles, and finally safe, Tech traps Rev in a cage after another red button slip-up. At Loonatics Tower, Duck proudly shows off a commercial where he promotes a tropical resort. Ace lounges while teasing him, but Lexi storms in, furious that Ace leaves all the real work to her. Ace admits he's not made for the business side of the team. Duck tries to lighten the mood by pitching the resort to Lexi, and she surprisingly agrees. Ace suggests they all go, which Lexi clearly doesn't love. On the way, Ace checks in with Tech and Rev, who stayed home but immediately argue over who's in charge until Tech tackles Rev mid-call. Suddenly, the Loonatics ship is snared by a massive vine and crashes onto the island of Apocalypso. There, they meet the Apocazons, a tribe of strong warrior women led by Queen Athena. Duck hopelessly flirts with the queen, but Athena only has eyes for Lexi, impressed by her sharp attitude. Athena introduces Lexi to a nectar that grants plant control, and Lexi masters it quickly. Meanwhile, the queen distracts the guys with a feast. Slam devours everything, then collapses when plants knock him out. Suspicious, Ace drags Duck away before he eats too, and they stumble upon bulldozers, hinting the Apocazons aren't what they seem. Cornered by attacking plants, Ace and Duck realize their only way to rescue Lexi and Slam, disguising themselves and sneaking into Chick Central. Inside Athena's city, Lexi sneaks around and uncovers the truth. Hidden weapons, the missing workers, and Slam being held prisoner. Meanwhile, outside, Ace and Duck's disguises don't last long, and they're captured too. Lexi frees her teammates and explains that the only way to win is to destroy the nectar power supply and escape. They split up. Duck and Slam lead the workers back to the ship, while Ace and Lexi handle the nectar. Duck also radios Tech, ordering a missile strike on the island. Ace and Lexi confront Athena and the Apocazons. Athena brands Lexi a traitor for rejecting her offer, but Lexi insists she won't abandon her friends. The two battle fiercely while Ace shatters the nectar containers with his guardian strike sword, spilling them into the water. Athena then reveals her backstory. Their men mistreated them, so the women left their homeworld. According to Athena, the men still exist, having evolved into plant beings to coexist peacefully. She claims she only stopped at the island to refuel and would have released the workers afterward. With missiles incoming, Duck uses his Aquadense powers to drain the water, while Lexi channels her new abilities to stabilize the nectar. Exhausted, she collapses, but Duck quickly teleports them away. Safe at last, Athena apologizes. Though saddened, Lexi won't join her. Back home, Lexi reflects that villains aren't always obvious. Sometimes they're closer than you think. Gangsters Stony the Stone and Bugsy the Bug return to Acmetropolis, this time stealing high-tech weapons. At the tower, Zadavia alerts the Loonatics that the city is preparing to transport a dangerous material called quarium, a substance capable of neutralizing their powers. If it falls into the wrong hands, the entire city could be left defenseless. The team quickly gears up to stop the mobsters. During a chase, an unexpected figure enters the crossfire, Officer Pinkster Pig. To everyone's surprise, he turns out to be an old friend of Danger Duck. Flashbacks reveal that Duck and Pinkster grew up together in an orphanage, but when a family came to adopt, a coin flip between the two determined Duck's future. He left, while Pinkster stayed behind. Pinkster explains that since then, he's drifted through different jobs, now working as a police officer. Duck lobbies the team to let Pinkster join them, insisting he can pull his weight. Ace reluctantly agrees, and the Loonatics head out again in pursuit of Stony and Bugsy. But when the villains strike, Ace entrusts Pinkster with triggering the trap. Instead, Pinkster botches the timing, capturing Ace and Duck while the criminals get away. Soon after, the news humiliates the Loonatics, painting their new sidekick as the reason for repeated failures. Back at HQ, Ace and Lexi debate whether Pinkster deserves to remain on the team. Duck pleads on his behalf, finally admitting why he's so protective. Years ago, Duck rigged the coin toss with a two-sided coin, ensuring he was adopted while Pinkster was left behind. The guilt has haunted him ever since. With that revelation, Ace reluctantly agrees to give Pinkster another chance. Soon, Pinkster volunteers to guard the Quarium shipment. Ace approves, but during transport, Pinkster fumbles his lucky can and chases after it. Tech lowers the defenses to protect him, opening the perfect opportunity for Stony and Bugsy to parachute in. The mobsters quickly capture Tech, and Reverend Ace returns to steady the situation, only for Pinkster to drop the facade and reveal his true allegiance. He admits Stony and Bugsy adopted him after Duck left, and he's been waiting for payback ever since. Using the Quarium, he weakens Ace and boasts that Acmetropolis will soon belong to him. But Ace turns the tables, revealing he had investigated Pinkster's backstory and found lies at every turn. The Quarium shipment was just a decoy to expose him. Duck appeals to his old friend's better nature, but Pinkster shoves him aside, vowing, "This ain't over, folks." At HQ, the Loonatics debate Booty's Belinda's demand for the cosmic guitar. Tech explains the instrument is an ancient relic capable of channeling enormous power, enough to level cities. Ace insists they can't hand it over, even with Zadavia in danger, and the team begins their search. Rev scans radio frequencies while Lexi checks nightclubs for clues. Duck, still jealous of Tech being chosen to escort Zadavia, loudly claims he'll be the one to save her. Meanwhile, Tech tracks Booty's floating stage through its energy signature. The trail leads back to the cosmic abyss, where Booties and his band are preparing their final concert. Booties reveals his motive. Years ago, Zadavia rejected his music, ending his dreams. Now he plans to use her stolen energy to power his destructive performance. A battle erupts. Ace faces Booties head-on, Slam and Rev dismantle the stage, and Lexi frees Zadavia. Duck finally proves himself by swiping the cosmic guitar, distracting Booties long enough for Tech to rewire it. Tech reverses the energy flow, draining Booties and his band of their power. Back at HQ, Zadavia thanks the team. Duck boasts a victory, though Tech reminds him teamwork truly saved the day. Tech traces the cosmic guitar signal to a rail yard, where the Loonatics confront Booties. When they hand over the guitar, Booties' band attacks, quickly subduing the team. Tech traps the band in glucogel, revealing they are all robots except the keyboard player. He uses his keyboard to set two trains on a collision course with the car holding Zadavia. Slam and Tech stop the trains just in time, but Zadavia is revealed to be a holographic decoy. The keyboard player escapes with the cosmic guitar and siphons Zadavia's powers into it. Zadavia wakes, recognizing him as Rupes Oberon, a former composer from Freling whose national anthem proposal she had rejected. Back at HQ, Tech explains the cosmic guitar's danger. It can channel Zadavia's energy to control the universe like a galactic orchestra. Ace suggests intercepting the keyboard man at Galaxy Fest. The team arrives to find only the band, which attacks with powerful musical blasts. Tech uses a device to reflect their attacks, destroying the robotic mannequins. The keyboard man reveals the cosmic guitar and drops the D-powered Zadavia off stage, opening a portal to meet someone else and continue his scheme. Rev catches Zadavia, who confirms her powers are gone. Meanwhile, the keyboard man visits Optimatus, chained in a chair, and frees him to further his plans. At HQ, Lexi wakes Duck for monitor duty, but he first teleports to the kitchen to make a hero sandwich, even ending up inside Slam's mouth briefly. Returning, he discovers several worsening hollow voicemails from Tweedums, ruler of planet Blanc, whose palace and army are under attack by robotic forces. Duck deletes the messages, only to realize the team has been watching. The Loonatics board Optimatus' ship to aid Blanc. Duck is reluctantly dressed in a knight costume per Tweedum's request, while Tech and Rev stay behind to monitor wormholes, suspecting Rupee's Oberon, the keyboard man, is behind the disturbances. Zadavia explains Blanc's significance. It sits at the universe's center, controlling all wormholes, which Optimatus could exploit for strikes anywhere. On Blanc, Ace orders the powerless Zadavia to stay behind. Duck swaps the knight costume for the team's power suits, remarking he refuses to fight looking like he's saying trick or treat. In Tweedum's throne room, they confront the keyboard man and Optimatus. Slam is thrown into a space train with Deuce on board. Deuce uses the cosmic guitar to blast the Loonatics and the keyboard man. After escaping, the heroes realize Optimatus hasn't captured Tweedums yet. The villains split. Optimatus goes after Tweedums, while Deuce runs an errand with the cosmic guitar, setting the stage for the next confrontation. The Loonatics interrogate Keyboard Man, learning he and Deuce were partners aiming for universal domination. This explains why they saved Deuce from his out-of-control space train after freeing Optimatus. With Deuce's plan revealed, the Loonatics set out to find Tweedums, only for Deuce to confront Zadavia. Powerless and unarmed, she is quickly defeated as Deuce hijacks the ship, stranding the heroes. On planet Blanc, the team navigates endless corridors, flying past Sylvester's prison cell. Despite Duck's doubts, they free Sylvester to gain his assistance. Slam even steals his sandwich in the chaos. Meanwhile, Deuce heads to the Acmetropolis rail yard, where part of his space train with robo-soldiers is stored. Tech and Rev intercept him. Rev distracts Deuce while Tech traps him in a net. However, the net cannot withstand Deuce's cosmic guitar-powered laser blasts, flattening the heroes. Back on Blanc, the Loonatics locate Tweedums, only to discover an exploding robot decoy. Optimatus also encounters a Tweedums decoy that blows up. Flying over a massive birdbath, they spot dozens of Tweedum decoys bathing. One finally displays a message from the real Tweedums, explaining to Duck how to find him. Meanwhile, in Acmetropolis, Deuce activates his robot army using the cosmic guitar, laughing triumphantly as Rev and Tech watch in horror, realizing the scale of his plan. Tech updates Ace on Deuce's situation in Acmetropolis, while Zadavia awakens on Optimatus's reclaimed ship. Deuce enters her cell, mocking her weakened state. Zadavia warns that her powers, though diminished, could bring about his downfall, but Deuce coldly responds, "Accept your fate. You will never rule again." Meanwhile, the Loonatics follow clues left by a Tweedum's decoy. Landing at a ring of stones, they find alien writing asking, "What's black and blue and red all over?" Duck corrects it to black and white and explains it's a newspaper. Picking up a rolled newspaper triggers a trap, dousing Duck in orange slime, but the paper also serves as a map. On Deuce's ship, Zadavia escapes through an air vent and fights off two robotic guards. She uses the cosmic guitar to blast pursuing robots and reaches the hangar, only for Deuce to appear. He shoots a control panel, opening the bay doors and sucking her into space. The Loonatics navigate a network of caves guided by Tweedum's puzzle. Pressure plates, levers, and falling rocks complicate their path, with Duck and Sylvester accidentally getting squashed. Finally, they reach a marked door revealing Tweedum's backup throne room. Sylvester falls through a trapdoor, and Tweedums explains the importance of his scepter, just as Optimatus and Deuce arrive with robo-troops. The Loonatics and Sylvester battle Deuce's robots, but in the chaos, Deuce grabs Tweedums and demands Ace hand over the scepter. Duck pleads for Tweedums' safety, but when Ace catches him, Deuce traps Duck with a power-neutralizing force field as insurance. The robots fire at the ceiling, burying the Loonatics, though they remain unharmed. Lexi tries to blast a way out, but Ace warns her that it could collapse the structure. Optimatus gloats over universal conquest, only to be betrayed by Deuce, who traps him in a power-sealing bubble. Deuce then swaps Duck's force field for handcuffs that strip his abilities. Tech and Rev drill into the throne room with their drill mobile, rescuing Ace, Lexi, Slam, Sylvester, and Tweetums. Tweetums explains that his scepter requires the jewel Duck wears to control Blank's portals. Meanwhile, Zadavia regains her full powers and frees Optimatus, who defends her by blasting incoming robots. The Loonatics, joined by Sylvester, fly to Blank's planetary core to confront Deuce and his robo-army. A massive battle ensues. Ace nearly falls off a ledge, but Zadavia intervenes, using her powers to eliminate most of the robots and give the team a fighting chance against Deuce's army. The remaining robots start to take control, but Sylvester changes sides. He tells Deuce that Duck has the missing part of Tweetums' scepter. Just then, Tweetums and his armored army arrive, and Tech and Rev join them to help. Slowly, Deuce's robot army begins to shrink, and the Loonatics get back the upper hand. Deuce runs toward the portal hub, with Ace following right behind. He puts the scepter into the hub to activate the portals. During their final fight, Deuce threatens to escape, rebuild his army, and return one day. Ace stops him by using his laser to push Deuce into the portal, and then his Guardian Strike Sword to activate the hub. The portal sends Deuce far away into space, and also releases an EMP that shuts down all remaining robots. The Loonatics rush to help Ace at the hub. Tweetums' Eggbots take Sylvester back to jail. Zadavia and Optimatus return to Freylang to rule the planet together. Zadavia tells the Loonatics that they are no longer just heroes in training. They are now guardians of the universe. The team decides to make Planet Blank their new headquarters. Its portals allow them to travel anywhere in the galaxy whenever they are needed. The story ends with Tweetums playfully hitting Duck with his scepter, and Duck finally putting on his helmet. So that will be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one.